Welcome back, everyone, to week 12 of the Functional Effect Optimization Group. I am Coach Sarah.
No, Dr. T.
And if you joined us last week, you know that we dove headfirst into the topic of chronic stress and how cumulative chronic stress can start wreaking havoc on a body, even one that feels like it's doing everything right, meaning you're the person who's working out, eating well, doing the things, but yet still feel like you're stuck in a negative feedback loop when it comes to getting your body to change in the way that you want it to. So, tonight we're going to be taking the next step and unpacking what's next. Because once you understand why things aren't working, the next question becomes what does actually work? So for many people, and I know Tyler can co-sign in this, the effort that they're putting forth isn't necessarily the issue. It's their order of operations. And when you are trying to solve a problem without obeying the order of operations, the outcome of your problem is always going to be incorrect if you're a math person, right? So when we can learn to follow the order of operations correctly, and work within that when it comes to your health and fitness, which is what we're going to unpack tonight, you're actually going to start seeing the results that you want to see. And, I don't want to be a spoiler alert here, but spoiler alert, this is also going to be leading to us launching the Balance to Breakthrough round 4, I do believe.
Yeah, I think this is the
Yeah,
fourth time.
round
Yeah,
4.
fourth time.
And we're going to be starting that Monday. So we're really excited to walk through this with all of you tonight and break down why what you've been doing isn't working. So let's talk about that first.
Mm-hmm.
When we have people come into functional effect that are this stereotype, if you will, the person who feels like they're doing all the right things. They've been working out, they've been eating well, they maybe even saw a nutritionist, and they might even have been working with a trainer prior to coming with us. Why, when you are living in a stressed out body, are the things that they are doing? What are the things that they're doing that are actually adding fuel to the fire that
Yeah.
they think are helping? I think that this is an important thing
Well,
for
I
us to
when I
think.
kind of when we look at those, it's always I'm trying hard, right? So it's definitely not a issue of effort. And typically they're like, I'm working out, I'm getting my 4 workouts in a week or 5 workouts. I walk, I do all these things. And then when we dive a little deeper, we usually find something about calories. And we look, and either they have no idea what they're doing for calories, or they're really under eating. And that's just not the solution to that most people really need.
So really what it comes down to is the biggest mistakes that people are making when they're coming into us is that they're eating too little, that they're working out too much, and that they're applying the mindset of work harder, try harder instead of the mindset of how do I better manage my
Yeah.
input and
Yeah.
my output.
It's just not the right foundation to be building upon. Because you're just, I mean, most people way stressed out, and it's very hard to build off of a very unstable foundation.
So when you're building off of a unstable foundation and you're trying to work out more, cut your calories, what are going to be some typical things that that person is going to see with their health, with their wellness, with their sleep?
Oh
Um,
man.
what does that look like for that
Ooh.
typical person?
Sleep is usually not good. They're underslept by probably 2 hours every single night. Digestion is definitely not great. Typically slow. So bowel movements will probably be like maybe every other day or something like that. Feeling tired all the time. They're just constantly exhausted. And really, when you hear all those things, you know there's some hormonal shifting going on there.
What I also see is the person who doesn't recover between their workouts. They work out and they might take a day or two off in between, like they're recommended to, but they still don't feel recovered. They might go to sleep and have a full night's sleep and wake up feeling tired. They're also going to be the person whose digestion, like he referenced constipation, but I also see the other
Ooh,
end of the
it
spectrum
does happen.
where they're actually swinging wildly between both ends of the spectrum, and they're both struggling with constipation as well as struggling with diarrhea.
Which is a classic sign of nervous system dysregulation.
Very much so. And that's where we get into this idea where your body's always going to choose survival over progress.
Yeah.
And if you're putting your body into a state or not managing your cumulative stress load appropriately, you're going to have this spillover in regards to these chronic stress markers. And we're also, if we were to look at your lab work, what are some of the things that we're going to see on this person's lab work? We're likely going to see some hormonal shifts and some hormonal changes
Yeah.
that are independent of where you're at in your timeline as a female. What else are we going to see for that person?
So typically, what I'll see is, in general, people are under recovered, and in an under recovered state, you typically see uh, A1C can be high, insulin can be high.
So, for those who aren't familiar, your A1C is the average of your blood glucose over the last 90 days.
Yeah.
And it's a big indicator, especially for females, of how in control your stress hormones are.
Yeah. For male, low testosterone levels is very common to see, definitely suboptimal. When we start looking at more on the heart health profile, cardiac profile, quite often I will see elevated cholesterol levels, but that's just not enough information. So you start going down deeper, and you look at HDLs, LDLs, and then the one that I like to look at the most is ApoB. And ApoB, if that is elevated, it's a not a good sign for cardiac health.
And we actually had this discussion the other day. The top 5 markers for overall longevity and wellness when it comes to your lab work. And the ones that we just touched on are some of the big ones. Mm-hmm. And when you get your labs done and you see these chronically elevated, they might be subclinical still. But I'll tell you what, if you are a woman and your A1C is over 5.0, that is an indicator that your stress hormones are running the show. Yes, to some degree.
So also looking at lab values and optimization values, they're different. They're not going to be the same. So sometimes they'd be like, "Oh, that's okay." Well, yeah, I mean, in general, it's sometimes just if you want to just be okay. But if you really want to feel good, you have to look a little deeper.
Even things like vitamin D is a good example of that. What is considered adequate on labs versus what is functional, yep, and where you're going to feel your best, there's actually quite a broad range of what that looks like in regards to functional medicine versus standardized
and it's a pretty
labs.
Big difference in number. I'm pretty sure anything.
Rachel, actually, could you weigh in here? What is, when we look at just lab standards for vitamin D, what is considered adequate for vitamin D?
Adequate, they want you at least, like, what I see, and I take care of like really chronically ill. If you're around like 40, they're ecstatic. I'm seeing a lot,
Wild.
which is wild. But when you read like functional medicine approach, you want it higher. You want to get close to like 90 to 100. That's like your optimization.
We want it between 70 and 100 with our
Yeah.
clients. Like that's ideally where we'd like to see it. So like I wasn't even sure anymore where
I've
the
seen 30.
adequate number is anymore, because I don't even pay attention to that.
Yeah.
30 is like, oh, 30 good. I'm like, ooh, like,
yeah, it's
I told-
Rachel was just she was just sharing with us that she had a client or a patient come into the clinic that had a vitamin D level of, what was it?
6.
Oh,
oof.
And the thing is, the even wilder part about that is that the person's baseline is so low that they didn't even feel it.
Ugh.
Like
Yeah.
in regards to a difference in how they
Well,
felt.
and if anyone knows vitamin D, it's not really a vitamin; it's more of a hormone in
Correct.
your body and how it operates. So that's it's an easy fix ultimately, but yeah, that's a big problem though.
And and when we talk about vitamin D, and even, all of the baseline nutrients that we talk about all the time. When we talk about building a balanced plate, that's the framework where we have to start with supporting that overstressed nervous system. It's not going to be more workouts. It's not going to be finding the right yoga class.
Yeah.
It's going to be, how well are you supporting your body with the correct and proper nutritional support? Because ultimately, your nervous system needs building blocks in which to run off of.
Yeah.
And for the person who is chronically skipping meals, chronically underfeeding, unintentionally underfeeding, because I know many of us moms in the room and busy professionals, we don't underfeed on purpose. And I understand that. But what you're doing to your nervous system when you chronically underfeed is you are putting yourself unintentionally into a chronic fight or flight state.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, when you chronically underfeed long enough, your nervous system is just going to check out and you're going to go into a chronic freeze state. And that's when you feel like your body has just shut down.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people think that, like, oh, I went to my doctor, I'm on HRT, man or woman, but it can help, but you have to make sure you're feeding your body appropriately, giving it the building blocks it needs to repair. And so I've seen many men come in and they're like, I'm on TRT, and they're like, I just don't feel like I should feel. I'm like, it's your diet. I know you are over exercising, you are under eating. And once they figure that out, I have seen guys, their bodies transform, their energy transform, just because now they're eating another maybe 500 or 600 calories a day consistently, and they're maybe eating more carbohydrates now, and they're not scared of them, and so yeah, that can be a big player too.
So the first goal when you're looking at, like, how do we right the ship when we have the person who is chronically stressed, chronically overwhelmed, burned out, circling the toilet bowl of life, so to speak, we have to start by creating safety in their nervous system. And as always, we have a framework to support what we're going to talk about tonight. And that first part of the framework tonight is support. How are you going to better support your nervous system? You're going to get better sleep. You're going to decrease your stress load, which looks like a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And it's focusing on controlling the controllables, which is a whole topic for another day. And it's focusing in on, how do I add more recovery to my daily routine?
Mm-hmm.
And because, again, recovery is also very subjective. It depends on the person, it depends on what you have available, and it starts with the basics. So, the second part of this framework is we work on stabilizing everything we can. And we start with the basics. We work on stabilizing your blood sugar. And we're going to do that through strategic nutrition and through strategic nutritional timing and through stress management. Because believe it or not, independent of your diet, one of the biggest modulators of your blood glucose is unmanaged stress. And so when you are that person who is waking up between 1 and 3 a.m. on a regular basis, and you're like, but I'm eating really well and I'm managing my stress, if you aren't actively getting enough calories, managing your stress, and minding your input and your output, your blood glucose will continue to spike throughout the evening, regardless of how well you eat.
Mm-hmm.
So that is going to be one thing that we need to manage. We need to stabilize your energy. And again, that's going to come through proper nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
adequate calories, adequate protein, and we're also going to work on stabilizing your hormones, which many people don't realize that the start of stabilizing your hormones is getting your gut health right.
Mm-hmm.
Because 80% approximately,
Yeah, roughly.
of your hormones are synthesized in your digestive tract.
Yeah, so if that doesn't look good, and you have a lot of digestive issues, everything just got a whole lot more
So
challenging.
if you're that person who's swinging wildly between constipation and diarrhea, you are the person who is not adequately clearing your estrogenic byproducts from your system or your hormonal byproducts from your system. And you're going to be the person who's experiencing that interhepatic or liver recirculation of those hormonal byproducts, leading to greater and worse symptoms. So, stabilizing your blood sugar, your energy, and your hormones is created through consistency in your systems. And again, those systems can be tweaked and modified for the person, but there are basic guidelines and standards that are very easily navigatable that will bring you to this place where you can bring balance to all of those things.
Yeah, because everyone has motivation for a little while, but if you got a great system,
That's
you fall to the level of, I will say this every single time we talk, you fall to the level of your systems. You do not rise to the level of your motivation. And so if you have a killer system, you will, in the long run, you will succeed.
yeah, the biggest differentiator between people that succeed and those who fail in any program that we put out there, it's the system. So ultimately, if we can put out a really good system that's very clear and well designed and user friendly, it makes your chances of success much, much greater. And then the secondary thing that's going to make you successful is your social support. So if you're here, you're also taking care of that aspect. So when we stabilize, we've supported the systems, we've stabilized the systems. The last component of that is to strengthen the systems. Because once you've gotten your new systems in place and you've stabilized those systems, now it's time to build them up. And that's where somebody can start working back towards those physique goals, fat loss, muscle gain, performance, adding in training intensity, upping your calories to match that training intensity, because that's the one that people, again, you increase your training intensity, you have to actually eat more, not less. And that's where, if you're going to be eating really low calories, you actually have to be really mindful of not training too much because it can backfire. And especially as you enter into this midlife season.
Yeah, because your goal is to gain muscle mass, right? You got to have the building blocks. This is what helps create that foundation. And then, like Sarah said, you want to build strength off of that foundation.
And if you do it in this order and you follow this strategic pathway, your body is going to start responding in ways that you've never imagined. But when you do it in reverse order, most people start at the strengthen phase. They add more intensity to their workouts. They go to a really macro specific, dialed in nutrition plan that's, maximizing their fat loss goals, but they're not really mindful of anything but their macros. There's a lot more to it when we're working on stabilizing a system, especially for somebody who has unregulated blood glucose due to chronic stress. And it's more than just following an arbitrary set of macros that fit your weight goals. It comes down to being very strategic with your carb timing, with your nutrient density, and with everything that is involved with creating a stable nervous system. So if you are listening to this call and you're like, yeah, this 100% sounds like me. I am that person who's waking up in the middle of the night, and I am that person who is vacillating between poop that doesn't come out at all or comes out in droves. I need to ask you a few questions. If your health could look like anything you would want it to look like, what would that look like? What would look different right now than what you're currently experiencing? Because I'm here to tell you, if you give your body the right tools, your body's built to heal. Your body's built to repair. Your body is built to do that work. We shouldn't have to have someone else do it to us. Our body is designed to do this job. We have to equip it appropriately. But we live in a world that negates everything wellness, essentially, due to the more mentality of the world we live in. Sometimes we have to learn to do less first. And if you resonate with what we've been talking about tonight, we're going to teach you how to do less starting Monday. Balance to Breakthrough is a program that I designed after my fourth or fifth round of burnout. It was after the birth of my second child, and I was in the throes of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I put together this protocol and this program off of the back of that bout of burnout. And it has successfully now helped so many people in the same way that it helped me. Um, both of the ladies who are currently in the room, I've had men go through this program. So this is not a program that is just for women. It was originally designed for a woman, but we've actually found out that it works pretty well for everybody.
Yeah, it works really well for men too.
Because it's designed to do all the things that we just talked about. It's designed to help support your digestion. It's designed to help support the workhorse of the human body, which is your liver. And it's designed to help give your body the tools that it needs to do its own job successfully and adequately in this season of life.
And just like Sarah has these, we have these calls, and there's always framework, right? And so this Balance to Breakthrough is framework, it's systems. And again, I'll say it again, you fall to the level of your systems. So if you have a better system, you're just going to get better results.
Yeah. Better systems, better results. And like I said, the thing that we can always promise you when you hang out with us is that we're going to give you a framework to go off of. And that is exactly the case with Balance to Breakthrough. So we start Monday. And if this is resonating with you and you're like, yeah, where do I sign up? All you need to do is shoot us a message, Sarah at functionaleffect.com, Tyler at functionaleffect.com, and or we will also drop the link to sign up in the show notes of today's call so that you can click that link and get yourself registered. But just know that this 8-week program is designed for you to learn and become autonomous in your health journey, not to become dependent on me or dependent on my presence for your success. It's rather going to equip you to continue this journey, whether it be with us in our community or on your own. These are tools. And so our goal is always to educate and equip so that you can be successful, whether it be by our side or whether it be walking on your own. Because everybody deserves to have themselves feeling whole and healthy. And I know, and I know you know, what it feels like to not feel 100% of yourself. And that's why we do what we do. And that's why we're so passionate about why we do what we do.
Yeah. I've seen people and patients have spent thousands of dollars on trying to feel better and go all different routes to go. And the issue that I see, it's like they're just not teaching the framework. They're not giving someone a good system. They're giving them things, but it's kind of chaotic and it's dependent on that practitioner. And this isn't the case.
Well, and I see that just like with our example of people jumping to the strengthen phase of doing more workouts, having specific macros, and doing these higher level activities, I see the same variation of that in our modern healthcare system with the way that they approach health and wellness is, here, take this pill, here, take this weight loss drug, instead of looking at the person's lifestyle. And I understand that it's a result of the way that our system is set up. I get that, but that doesn't negate the fact that we have a broken system. So we're here to help fill the cracks of that system and help bridge the gap. And we're really thankful to be that piece and to play that part. So if you plan on joining us on Monday, I'm really excited to have you. We've had wonderful groups each time we have run this. And again, the goal is for you to learn and for you to grow and for you to take these skills and run with them after this, because this is a program that is meant to be done cyclically, and we'll dive more into that on Monday. But I will be doing a big kickoff call on Monday. So even if you want to just come hang out and check it out and you're not really sure that you want to join yet, just contact me and let me know, and I will set you up to be there. And then you can let me know if you want in. But as always, join us next Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we'll be talking about more skills, tools, and strategies to help you live your best life, because you deserve to feel your best. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.